All of us in Workshop D are in an awkward position at the moment of being between you and lunch. And between you and the collective cheer that might well go up at the end of these fabulous workshops. I'm sorry I don't have a picture of our group, but we have one more chance to get one, because our group began the week with some actor troupe warm-ups, and we left one piece to try at the end one more time because we didn't get it right. Now, like many of you, I have come here from far away, but I don't think there's so many of you who have come here also from another time the way I have. I have come to you from an era before perpetual messaging. I have come to you from an era before relentless documentation. And I have come to you from an era before video supplanted text as the primary medium of the university. So forgive me if I feel a little bit over my head. Albert yesterday went swimming out at Malakari Beach, and he said he had to walk halfway to Sweden to find water deep enough to swim in. I am in very deep water here, so here we go. As you may recall from the Monday session, the premise for this workshop is to consider the other 7 billion people besides the ones who enjoy the latest experiences and devices and consumer apps and digital distractions. The idea is to imagine ubiquitous computing as a resource at street level in places where neither the market nor the state is doing a very good job with that. This is an example of what you might know quite well as an argument for the long tail. If you're unfamiliar with this argument, the short version is that most of the things that happen are the things that happen in very small numbers or that are less well known, less popular. This could be, well, there isn't time to say all the examples. You'll see some. In other words, despite the quest to, for example, document everything, actually most things aren't. Despite the quest to have connected consumer apps for everything, actually most things aren't. Now, it is one of the goals of UBI to push that bar to the right, but you know, it turtles all the way down. No matter how far you push it to the right, there's always more. So if I have one wish for the UBI community, it's to get over this obsession with everything. Everywhere does not mean everything. Not everything needs to be connected. Not everything needs to be documented. You know, like what? Like a patch of sun in the forest? Or how about a dream I remember from last year? Or how about laughter? Does that have to be documented? I think not, and I hope you agree. One way to get past this, that I see that today that this set of workshops has done very well, is to get past this idea that what proceeds in classroom can be documented. I was quite astonished on Thursday to be presented with a request to document everything that happened in our workshop. Yeah, sure. And in fact, actually, in my university, what we call this is reversing the room. We want to get away from the idea that education is information delivery. And we want to get away from the idea that the professor is the one with the answers. The professor just has a lot of questions and keeps coming back to them. We call this reversing the room. So I was delighted this morning to see not only did you guys reverse the room, you left it and went out on the street. Your university bothers to document this. So anyway, my own lesson, my own takeaway from this goes something like this. If you have to live in an age of compliance, it's not just a matter of tagging the city in ways that do not conform to expectations. It's beyond that. It's something a little bit more like this. This is a Big Lebowski thing. I don't know what that is. That's my takeaway from this week. Is if there must be UBI, find ways to abide. Now, Abide indeed, because here's exactly the workshop's question. This is the conundrum that our workshop kept coming back to. It's something like this. Most of the people in the world have much more genuine needs than to be told that water is wet and that it's raining outside. Most of the people in the world don't have the latest and greatest gadgets and gizmos, and yet they have adopted communications, handheld communication devices at a rate faster than cars or television or a lot of other things. Now, most of the world, the other end of the long tail, regards information technology as stuff that they produce, the outsiders, the market and the state with their big schemes that don't understand at street level all the little stuff that works. So, the wish is to study how the world actually works, to be ethnographic. I think that the discipline of interaction design is way better than my more venerable and arrogant discipline of architecture at looking at how people actually do things and what it's like to live with the stuff. So here's our conundrum. How do you not just learn about, but learn from cultural practices at street level without engaging in technological colonialism? How can you begin to bring technological possibilities, cooperation amplifiers, to street level in places that really have much more genuine needs without engaging in technological imperialism? I feel like it's worth a try, and each time I get a seminar or a workshop, I try. So this is what we did. Please excuse us if it seems colonial. We don't mean it that way. Now this week we've worn several hats. On Monday we were an actor troupe. Tuesday we were historians. Wednesday we were art critics. I'm no good at that, and that's hard. Thursday we were design strategists. That's probably the core of all this. And Friday we were storytellers. So on Tuesday we did a very quick poster project to get used to the idea of illustration, of trying to find a distant mirror for some of the conditions of the emergence of devices as service avatars at street level. That was a lot of fun. Wednesday, we tried to do some kind of information mapping exercise about recent and interesting works in ambient interface and urban computing. I would say don't try this at home. I don't know how well it worked out. Architects have these delusions about seeing things whole. Thursday, we launched into the project, and the premise is megacity resources. You heard about that already on Monday. And more specifically, it was a question of making use at street level. Could be any kinds of resources. That was really up to the groups, and you'll see in a minute. And within this, we always are trying to maintain this Janus-faced sensibility of the social and the technical. Don't let it become just solely an ethnographic exercise. Don't let it become just totally a gee whiz tech exercise. Okay? Now, it's been a long morning, and we are between you and lunch. And this may seem paradoxical, but to make the time between you and lunch seem better and to be more receptive to what's here, it would be good to close your eyes for 10 seconds. I dare you. That was just for me. I'm an old guy. All this video jumping all over the place makes me want to jump off a bridge. Here are our projects. Come on up, whoever's on. They're in this order. So the guy, come on up.
Yeah, so I hope the next one. Yeah, these are our slides. So our project was Trustworks. So what is it basically about? It's about packet switching of physical goods in a congested city. So it's not a congested internet, it's not data, it's really physical goods. We want to bring through the city, through a mega city, which is really congested. And what we need for that is networks of trust. Wait. Sorry, my bad. So, because there's a lot of stuff that needs to go from A to B or C to D, so they have really primitive carts where they have a lot of stuff on it, or they use goats as a backpack. I don't know whether it contains the thing or the goat is already the thing that they want to transport. But yeah, there's a lot of traffic going on. And one of the worst cities is actually Dakar. So they use only a tiny part of this for actual streets. So it's only 7% of this area there. Usually it's about 25%. And they don't have any mass transport, so no metro, nothing. So yeah, we were wondering if you know the fairy tale, the Little Red Riding Hood. I always get confused about the riding in English version. So it's the Rotkäppchen in German, for instance. It's just the red hat. So she needs to deliver this basket, these goods to the granny, because she's waiting for this. So, but yeah, it's really congested. So the thing is, how does she get this through Dakar, which is huge? It's a mega city. It's super congested. How does this work? So usually, yeah, our little girl here has some friends who can help there. So because they have a rickshaw, they have a motorcycle, they are a bus driver, so they can help her to get this thing farther. And around this megacity, there are multiple of these small networks. So usually it's families, they know each other, they can pass something on. Hey, could you bring this over there? And so on. But yeah, you cannot reach the whole city. It's huge. So yeah, what could we do about this? And yeah, one day, Little Red Riding Hood meets this nice shopkeeper, and he says, hey, I have this new gadget. It's these stickers. You can use them, and then you can send your things, and you can start to trust other people, other networks, to yeah, get the things where they should go, because she can now track where is this thing, who is currently responsible, and she can use the normal cell phone, so not the smartphone or whatever. So it's really basic. It's not QR codes, it's not GPS-based whatever, but she can check in. There's a website where she can trace it if she has access, but a lot of people don't actually have this access, so it's really basic technology. But this basic technology helps to link these networks. So what finally happens is that we can route something hop by hop through this megacity. And what's going on basically is a lot of handovers. So you have your good and you give it to someone else, and he checks in, so he now is responsible for this thing, and that can be tracked. And so you can, yeah, really trust the people, and that's the packet switching. So it goes hop by hop from rickshaw to bus, and finally we'll get to the granny and she gets her goods. There are some other things connected to this. So for instance, how do we find people who actually participate in this? Who can you really trust? So you could use other stickers that you can identify this grassroots movement. So he's participating, he got already 3 of these stickers, he must be a good guy, and then you will give it to him and he will know where to take this, and yeah, is one of these pieces in these trust groups. Thank you.
Okay, hi everybody. This is our team. I'm Oti and Okan and Mipi. And as a starting point, our project is CoClean. And as a starting point, we had a problem that exists in many megacities, but for example in Rio de Janeiro. And it's littered streets and unemployed people. And in many megacities, it's a problem that the municipal services don't cover all the areas in the city, that they are unevenly distributed, or they don't happen regularly. And in here you see the problem with cleaning the streets. And that opinion is from a real newspaper. It's not a And it's the same thing with internet services or internet networks. And the thing we have in mind is a real-time online mapping system for cleaning the streets of Rio de Janeiro, for example. And here we have all the stakeholders who are involved and the actions that they have here. And to start with, there can be some like civic organization, like neighborhood association, that can be in charge of the whole thing. That it's the one who has this plan and organizes it. And there are, of course, the local people who live there in the city, and for example, shopkeepers. And then they see some areas that are dirtier than others, and they put the information to the online system, online map, that of the areas that should be cleaned first and need most help. And then the association has hired unemployed local people to work for them as cleaners. And the cleaners who may have smartphones, even though they're poor, can have access to the online network and can see what are the places that needs to be cleaned, and they can locate themselves and be efficient. And of course there's also, we call them lead leaders with smartphones. And then there's also the cleaners who don't have smartphones, and they need to connect to the lead cleaners to get the information. Right. And here we just have those little blue men who are the residents, and then they give the information about the litter areas by taking a photo and then tagging it to the map, to the right location. And because it's important that this whole network is mobile and it can move around the city, we can use just the internet, like fixed infrastructure, but it needs to be ad hoc network that is formed by the smartphones of the certain cleaners, and it can move around the city wherever the help is needed or the work needs to be done. And because some of those cleaners have only a normal mobile phone, they contact the smartphone by text SMS. And here's one cleaner who wakes up in the morning and feels like doing some work because she's part of this whole network and knows that there's always something to do in a dirty city, and she sends a text message to the network, and then she finds out where the nearest lead cleaner is, and then that way by the text messages the working hours are recorded, and then she knows where to go, and then the cleaner is a manager, sort of a manager for her, and tells which areas need to be cleaned up. Oh yeah, and then they get paid like per the working hours, like, for example, monthly. And the local residents who have those areas in mind that needs to be cleaned, they can pay like membership fee or use space fee. Yeah, just two. Okay, and here we have unemployed people who are not unemployed anymore, but they are self-organized cleaners. And finally, as an outcome, the streets become cleaner. Thank you.
Okay, so imagine Gemma. Gemma is a woman who lives in Jakarta, one of the biggest cities in the world, and she returns home Friday evening after work, and she finds her fridge to be broken. She's in a lower middle class neighborhood, and unfortunately she has her parents come over for dinner on Saturday, and she needs to fix the fridge. As she's in a lower middle class family, she doesn't have the money to buy a new fridge, and all the official organizations to fix the fridge, they're way too expensive or too far away. So this is a city map of Jakarta. She lives in a middle class district, and all around her, of the red dots, there are the slums in Jakarta, scattered all over the city. So you have some connections between the middle class, lower middle class districts and the slums. and in the middle there's mostly the tourist spots or the richer part and the richer people. Well, Gemma is in a middle class family. There's also many unemployed people in Jakarta and in Indonesia. Actually, the number of unemployed people rises by 1.3 million every year in over whole Indonesia. So these people are sitting here fiddling with their mobile phones. They don't have anything to do, but they are not. They're uneducated, but they're not unskilled. So actually, they're very skilled and very creative, and they would like to have things to do. So, for example, Rio in the lower left corner, he's very good at fixing fridges. Or Kim here, he's very good at fixing bikes. So the idea is that Gemma sends a text message to a service that was created by someone who had a similar problem. He called the service EveryFix, and the service figuratively nudges Rio and tells him there's a fridge to fix, and generates the match between Gemma and Rio on a street level. And this is how it works from the technical side. Gemma sends a text message on the left side where she says the fridge is broken. I'm living in the Gambia area and it's urgent. Then EveryFix has some text messages and some jobs and performs a match between the skills that Rio signed up for, like I'm good at repairing fridges, and also with the reputation of Rio, how has he done before in previous jobs, and then it finds the right job compared to he's maybe not the best one to fix the toilet, and maybe not the best one to be a daycare dad for a kid. And then both of these parties, they get a question: do you like Rio to repair your fridge, or do you like to repair the fridge of Gemma? And when they both accept, then the match is done. So why is this happening here in Jakarta? The reason is it is kind of a gray market business. It is not really official, and as Malcolm pointed out, it's not really documented. So everybody can just join, and the match is done with a very, very simple system that people in local communities can come up with. And for the people, that means the system can reduce the unemployment in the local neighborhood, and it can also enhance the agency of this people in the neighborhood. And what is most important, people can get beyond the local communities that they're used to by their ethnography or by their religion, and they can draw connections between communities. But here one has to say that the boundaries that relate to these communities, they still have to be explored. And this is the story of Gemma and Rio, and the three of us, we are the project team. It was fun for all of us to work together as we are from very different backgrounds. The whole project was inspired by something that is called a repair cafe, and it works slightly different because people go to a cafe and bring their stuff, and the idea here is that people make a one-to-one matching and bring the unemployed people to fix stuff in a home when it's really urgent and instantaneously needed. So with that, I would like to thank for the attention, and also to thank Tobias and Tina from the project team for these great days.
We're the friendly wall team.
Okay, smile.
The friendly wall is an urban computing project that is addressed to children, and it has the goal to provoke social interaction, to provoke social awareness in terms of inequality. Based on a concept of game and children's play, it has as an aim to create physical interactions, non-physical interactions between children. Okay. Social walls is defined in between areas, slums and rich areas in developing countries, and is placed on a dividing boundary. The boundary does not always has to be physical or existing. The friendly wall is a mediator. It's a secretive technology installation that connects children
friendly wall creates a softened space, a softened point on that wall that allows penetration but without creating an actual opening. Our personas, our scenario, our presenter story involves two personas. He's Reza, he's a 9 years old boy, and he lives in the slum area. He goes to school every day and he enjoys playing football with his friends. And then we have Ayu, a 10 years old girl that goes to a private school and lives in a rich-gated area. She also enjoys playing volleyball with her friends. So, taking into consideration their love to play ball and to enjoy themselves, we created the friendly wall. The friendly wall is a game where children are actually throwing a ball on a digital wall and without interacting with each other, the two sides. So the process is that on that side, we see the Ivy, which is the girl from the rich area, takes the ball, this wall, this friendly wall consists of some digital LED display, and also it has a ball dispenser where you can actually have the ball. So Ivy will take the ball and choose an icon that is going to be just personal for her. This ball contains an RFID. On this RFID is the icon, the identity of Ivy is played. So every time she's going to play, she's going to bring the ball, and that information is going to be left as a shadow on that wall. Reza is throwing the ball at the friendly wall, and then Ivy can see from the other side at the projection of icons, Reza's actions. And Ivy aims to hit the same square to answer to Reza. And so they create a kind of interaction without knowing each other. In this sequence of images, we can see the same thing. And Reza is actually going to the touchscreen. He selects the icon that he likes. He takes the ball from the dispenser, and he gets invited at this LED display surface to actually start playing with the wall. He aims to that pink square with his ball, and suddenly his icon can be seen at the bottom of the square. On the other side of the wall, Adu can see the information shadow projected of Reza. So she sees that LED square getting illuminated, and the logo, the icon of Reza being projected there as well. So she wants to answer to him, and she throws her ball to the same square, where her logo also appears. And Reza on the other side sees the same square getting illuminated, and actually she saw that he can see also the icon of Anu. At the end of the game, the LED displays actually the high scores, creating a kind of game and competition between kids so as to gain every time even more scores, get a higher place. The reason for having these specific icons, that each child has a specific identity, is that in this way we can create an interaction between them, so that every time, for example, that Reza goes there and plays and sees the icon of Ayu, although he doesn't know that belongs to Ayu, he knows that he can play with the same person every time. So it's kind of creating a non-physical interaction between people and start building relationships in a community. This touch screen, apart from giving the possibility to choose the icon, it also projects the high scores, what's happening in the game, and also it gives the possibility to create a meeting, like a game request. So the children, for example, for the rich area, can give a game request, can ask the children from the slum area to come and play with them on a specific date on the specific place. Here we can see again children interacting. These LED displays, as we said, they are from both. It's a double surface. And whenever you hit the ball, they actually get a little bit pressed, and this pressure, if used and combined with a piezoelectric system, can actually get illuminated by eliminating energy children last played and hit the specific square. This is a view of both areas, a section of the wall, where you can see them playing and how these LED displays get pushed to the center. In the end of the game, and after the high scores, the wall gets fully illuminated, thus creating an event and an attraction to the children to motivate them to reach the specific target. What does our project aims to? We don't want to create physical interaction between these two areas because they're so socially different, and maybe the parents of the student wouldn't like them to actually meet due to the differences. But maybe in the future, Reza, who has the icon of the teddy bear, and Ayu, who has the icon of the heart, could meet, and why not just forget all the inegalities that exist between them. Thank you.
I have to add that that looks like a project from workshop A. It's too bad Kaiser's gone to catch a plane. She could see whether it would fit. So we have come full circle.
All right, thank you.